But that belief suffered a huge blow in early May of 1970 when demonstrations against the Vietnam War took on an entirely new intensity. It began when President Richard Nixon announced that U.S. troops had invaded Cambodia to fight North Vietnamese forces there. Although he had promised to bring American troops home, many Americans at home felt Nixon had broken that promise in Cambodia, and they felt betrayed and enraged.
It is black people and poor people who are the ones at the front being asked to lie down their lives to protect this barbaric and ruthless country known as the United States of America.
And the emotional reaction was, we're demonstrating, and it doesn't do any good. That is, no one is paying any attention to this, and so there was a tremendous amount of anger among young people who were paying attention.
That anger erupted into massive anti-war protests across the country that often turned into riots. In Ohio, protesters at Kent State University set fire to the ROTC building on campus, and the governor called in the National Guard to help bring the situation under control. Instead, on May 4th, guardsmen opened fire into a crowd in the middle of campus, killing 4 students and wounding 9. To many, the war was now being fought on U.S. soil. The reaction was immediate and alarming.
I mean, that's how you start revolutions. I mean, think of the Boston Massacre, you know, in revolutionary times. Basically, that's what Kent State was, and every campus in the country lit up.
I'd never seen as many people out in Madison as I did after the Kent State. And I remember being behind the Union. There must have been 15,000 people behind the Union. We were on strike. I mean, students went on strike to shut down the university. During the day, things were calm, people were out, and at night, it was just like a war zone.
We have a very, very difficult situation here. You have a group of people who, in the past, have been saying the police have been over-responding or overreacting or have been irresponsible in their actions. And now, the other spectrum of society is saying, but the police now are restrained too much.
Police departments were not equipped, equipment-wise or mentally, to handle some of these situations. That changed quickly, as was the National Guard not prepared.
Denny Connor was a member of the Wisconsin National Guard as well as a news photographer for UPI in 1970. Those dual roles gave him a unique perspective on the demonstrations, the protesters, and the police.
We went through a lot of training so that for just to keep from having what happened at Kent State.
But it did happen again, about a week later at Jackson State College in Mississippi, when 2 anti-war protesters were shot and killed by police. At that point in 1970, it seemed like war had been declared between protesters and police.
This is the patio block that hit me in the head and knocked me out. 11.5 pounds.
Dick Josephson was the Dane County Sheriff's captain in charge of crowd control during the riots. It was bricks and bottles against billy clubs and tear gas, and both sides accused the other of inciting the violence.
There, I'm sure, were incidents where somebody lost their cool and got a little too rough. I mean, I'm sure that happened. If and when it did happen, they made sure I wasn't around because it was my job to see that it didn't happen.